In today's lesson, we are going to determine whether figures are congruent or not. And what congruent means is equal. They have equal sides and equal angles. So congruent figures have those two things. And that's what the definition here says. When two polygons, again that just means a many-sided figure or many-angled figure, are congruent, the angles and the sides of one polygon are equivalent. That means equal to the corresponding sides and angles of the other polygon. And so that's what we're looking for here. And so we have some different shapes here, different things. It looks like this is a wheel with an axle in the center, and we've got some spokes on the sides. And so if we were to look at this figure, are there any congruent figures in here? Well, when I look at this, I don't see this circle here matching this circle, so I would not say that there's any congruent figures there, but the spokes on the wheels appear to be congruent. And so I would say yes, there are some congruent figures, and where those are the spokes of the wheel. So yes, the spokes are congruent. And so again, congruent means that if I look at those figures, it looks like they are rectangles. They have a curve here because of the circle, but for the most part we can consider them rectangles, and they appear to be the same size and they have the same angles. And so we'll say the spokes are congruent. This one here, we see the flagpole, and there's no other pole on the other side to make this congruent. This rectangle here is just about congruent with this shape. However, this shape ends up coming in and then back out. So I would not say that is congruent. Now when I look at the circle, since they have divided this circle, it looks like they divided this circle into two pieces. It looks like this portion of the circle from here to here is the same as this portion of the circle. So since they divided the circle into two equal pieces, I would say the half circles are congruent. So in your homework, you might have congruent figures and you might not. You just have to look for what appears to be congruent. And number 3, now we have a shape. And so what we're doing is we don't have anything that telling us that the angles are the same. However, they do appear to be the same. But what we do know is that these lengths are the same. So notice this is 4 feet, this is 4 feet. So sometimes they use tick marks to show that these two sides are congruent, and they are. They're the same length. This is 5 feet, and this is 5 feet. This is 7 feet, and this is 7 feet. So since they gave us that information about these sides being congruent, we would say the angles are going to end up being congruent as well. And so yes, we would say they are congruent. Well, the two triangles are congruent. And here's a symbol for congruent. It's just an equal sign with a little, and this is definitely an equal sign. That means they're equivalent, but then they have this little squiggly line on top, showing that we're dealing with congruent figures, which tell us two things again. Tell us angles are the same and sides are the same length for corresponding ones. And corresponding ones are ones in the same location, like this one here. 12 centimeters and 12 centimeters, 4 centimeters and 4 centimeters. So we know those are the same. The 12 centimeters are the same, and the 9 centimeters. So this is just like the last one. So we would say, yes, this one is congruent as well, because those angles and sides are the same. We know the sides are all the same, so the angles would have to be the same as well. Looking at this one, these triangles look the same. They look like they have the same angles, but when you look at the lengths of the sides, this one here does not match this one. These are not equal. And so we would say, no, this is not congruent, and the reason is that the sides, and actually we'll be a little more specific than that, we're going to say the corresponding sides. So corresponding means the same location. Corresponding sides are not equal. So you see how these two sides are in the same position, just like these two sides in the same position, the 5 and the 15. and they're not equal. The 4 and the 12 are corresponding. They're in the same position. We see the same thing with this one. You see how they look the same, they look similar, they have the same angles, but you look at the corresponding sides. Like this side here corresponds to this side. And you see how they're not equal. And so we would say no, the corresponding sides are not equal. Well, the next set of directions asks us to determine the missing measure of for each set of congruent polygons. And so you're looking for the question mark there and trying to figure out what it is. So we know these are congruent. So they are congruent, so we need to figure out what that missing measure is. Well, the missing measure is going to be the same as the corresponding side. So we go ahead and look at the corresponding sides here. Like this one's 9, this one's 9, this one's 12, and this one's 12. So the missing one is 15. You see how 15 is the one opposite of what looks like the right angle here? Same thing here. This is opposite of the right angle. They just have it turned around, rotated. So this side, this missing portion right here, would be 15. So right there, this is 15 centimeters. That's the missing amount. And so this time we're looking for an angle. So you can see how we have 82 degrees here. This is 82, and this is 82. Well, this one is 60, and this one's 60. So you see what they did is they flipped it over. They rotated it, or actually in this case they have a mirror image of it, and so it's a reflection about this axis of symmetry, which would be somewhere in between here. So these 82, 82, 60, 60, so what is the missing angle here? Well, it's this one right here. It's the one corresponding. So 38 degrees is the answer for this one. Goes in right there. Now this one, they're asking for two things. See, they have two question marks. Well, they can rotate these. They've reflected them. They can translate them. They can move them in different directions. So you look to see what angle is between them. So look at this angle here. We got 37 degrees. This is really close to the one we're looking for. Okay, this is 137. Here's 137. Okay, then we skip this one, and we have 98. Well, this one's 98. So which is in between? Well, it's the one with 99. So that's the missing angle. Notice how 137 and 98, there's an angle in between those two. And that's the missing one, which is 99. So our missing angle is 99 degrees. That's one of the answers. Now we have to find the missing side. So look at the sides now. Okay, here's 28. And where's 28 here? Right here. There's 28. Okay, now let's skip the missing one and go to 48. There's 48. Okay, so here's 48. So what's in between? So notice the one in between these two is the missing angle. What's in between 48 and 28? 16. So that's it. So it's 16 feet. So you just have to look for the information that you're given and kind of work your way into the middle. Well, it's the same thing with this one. However, this one is just asking us for the missing length here. So we do the same thing. So notice how we have the one on the outside here, or the missing one is in between 10 and 18. And so notice here, 10 is here, and 10 is here. And then 18 is here. Put a couple tick marks there, and then 18 is here. So the one in between, well, 13 is in between, but 13, the one opposite of 13 is the missing one. So this is it. It's 21 feet. So that's the missing length. 21 feet. And there we have it. So again, corresponding sides of congruent figures are congruent. And so that's what we're using here. So again, congruent means that angles and the sides of one polygon are equivalent, which means equal to the corresponding angles and sides of the other polygon. And that's what we're using here to solve these problems. Well, good luck on tonight's homework.